team we should do our deep dive on are the Buffalo Sabres.
Definitely.
So as of this recording, this is Tuesday night. The Sabres are 6-11-3 with a 2-7-2 home record.
Also ugly.
Now, I think Montreal had a 4-5 home record.
Montreal, 4-5, yeah.
Can we just say for the Sabres, does home ice play a little bit of a factor when you're not having fans and you don't have the usual circumstances at home when it comes to Buffalo?
I think you can say that for a lot of teams, but yeah, Buffalo is definitely in that realm of teams that, the Buffalo's got a pretty passionate fan base. There's not, to fully honest, once football season's over, once Bills Mafia is done being Bills Mafia, there's not
it's Sabres Mafia.
It's Sabres Mafia from February on, basically, until they're out of the playoffs. And I think they're just, I don't know. The Sabres fans are weird because their market they've never, in my lifetime, they've never really been that good of a team outside of a few years early when we were little kids.
Yes.
And they're probably just like so fed up, but they still like I still love the team. Eichel is a very exciting player, and I'm sure we're going to get into him quickly here. But I think, and that was in Dahlin too, like 2 first overall picks on your team, and you still can't do anything. Like it's tough. It's tough being a Buffalo Sabres fan right now.
I'm putting you on the spot with this question. Is Eichel the best Sabre you've ever seen in your lifetime?
I've ever seen play live? Dominic Hasek was pretty good, man. I don't know about that, but
I was gonna say Hasek. He was a bit before I remember Hasek with the Red Wings. That's just how I remember him. But in terms of actual Sabres and like guys I grew up with, remembering on the Sabres, I would have to go with with Eichel.
Yeah, I would say Eichel's probably the best forward I've ever seen. That's not to say Vanek and Pominville and also Ryan Miller back when he was like OP. Like he was pretty good too, but I would still agree with you. Eichel's probably the best Sabre since Hasek, I don't want to say since Gilbert Perreault, but
Ryan Miller is actually a good pick. I don't mind that pick. That's actually a really good pick with Ryan Miller. So the obvious storyline with the Sabres is Eichel and his trade rumors. I wrote about this, I don't know, a week and a half ago for speakyourpiece.ca. Go check it out. Shameless plug. Go check out the website. I argued that it makes sense for the Sabres to trade Eichel. I wouldn't personally do it, but I see the logic behind it, and I see why the Sabres would do it. Two questions, Scott. Do you think the Sabres should trade Eichel, and would you trade Eichel if you were the Sabres?
I think that franchise needs kind of I don't want to say like a rebuild. They need like a reboot in a way. And that, you look at Edmonton, for example, they traded their first, in their string of first round overall picks. Taylor Hall was the first one. They traded him. Maybe and look at, obviously they got McDavid and Draisaitl and Nuge and anyways, that's a whole different conversation. But
Nail Yakupov.
Okay. Like I said, whole another conversation. Yes, Nail Yakupov was a terrific player. Anyways, it's very it's tough to say. Eichel, like we said, is a franchise player on the Sabres without a doubt. Should they trade him? No. Will they trade him? Probably. Would I do it? No, because I think he's a guy you need to build around. But if he wants out, kind of like you look at James Harden. Harden wanted out. Harden's gone. The question is, does Eichel want out? And if he does, then that's like, boom. That's your answer. Wrap it up. There's your trade. Trade him to whoever for picks, prospects, and a good center.
I think with Eichel, I mentioned this in my article.
Yeah.
If I'm Eichel, I give it one more year. Like I give them one more off season to kind of see what they have. True. I mean, not that this off season is really fair to judge a team around because we still have a flat cap, and I mean the Sabres have a bunch of money because they have Taylor Hall, who's a free agent, Eric Stahl, Sam Reinhart, Rasmus Dahlin's an RFA, Brandon Montour's a UFA, Carter Hutton. I said Eichel should just wait one more year and maybe they can figure it out and get their shit together.
Yeah.
But the Buffalo Sabres are very much the New York Knicks of the NHL.
That's a great reference, actually.
It's like, this is a team. I want Buffalo to succeed. Like, the league's better when like Buffalo's doing well, because they, for the most part, have really nice jerseys. Like, their jerseys are some of the nicest in the league right now.
For sure.
It's a full house in normal circumstances. Like, it's a a fan base that's dying for a winner. And they actually do really well TV wise. Like, when they play, they actually do a really good, like, they really pull in strong numbers TV wise when they're on TV, national TV in the States. And Eichel, again, kind of like what you alluded to, Eichel's the guy you trade for to build your team around, not the guy you trade out because he's causing issues or he's the reason why you're losing. Like, that's, I don't know. I get why you would trade him. I understand. I wouldn't do it either. And there's not a lot of options for Eichel either at $10 million a year for.
He's a hard guy to move because of his sheer value to a team. And you put him, you stick him in Colorado, you stick him in Las Vegas. Like, those automatically are Stanley Cup or bust teams right away.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Imagine Eichel between Stone and Pacioretty on a loaded nightstand. Just think about that.
Well, so not to make it all Vancouver, but I mentioned, I think to you a while ago, Brock Besser, Olli Juolevi, and a second rounder for Jack Eichel. Who says no?
You have to go to first rounder. The Sabres give it up. You need a first round pick.
So you throw in a first rounder, and then you have a deal done. Like, I'm trying to think of all the places where Eichel could go, because like I think Vancouver could use an Eichel, the Kings could use Eichel.
It doesn't have cap space for an Eichel. That's
you make cap space. I mean, and you have more cap space coming up anyways with the guys who are coming off the books. Even though I think Eriksson's still on for another year, but
here's the other thing: you have to sign Pettersson and Hughes the next 2 years. And those are the guys Vancouver's going to build around. They're not going to build. Not going to trade for Eichel and build around Eichel. Like, if you do Eichel, but they're not going to trade Pettersson either. They love, the Canucks fans love Pettersson. They can't trade him. So,
and you trade Horvat then. Horvat's expendable. Come on now, no. But I mean, like the Kings could use a Jack Eichel. Like, Eichel to the Kings just makes too much sense.
I think that's the best, like the most logical trade of like all the trades of the possible trade. Yeah, Eichel for Byfield. Either Byfield or Turcotte, a first-round pick, and Iafallo, Martin, Adrian Kemp. Like, insert young, up-and-coming forward in Los Angeles. That's your trade.
Yeah, I mean, so many good guys. Even I think the New York Rangers kind of make a bit of sense too.
Who would you give up? But also in division, though. That's another thing.
I know they wouldn't do that. Even the Sabres, like the Sabres make a lot of sense too for Eichel, or not the Sabres, the Bruins. The Bruins make a lot of sense for Eichel too in terms of just being a mass guy and going back to. But it won't happen because the Sabres are in the same division as the Bruins, obviously. So that's not going to happen. But I'm trying to think of any other team. Like, the Red Wings would love to have him. He could be a good first line center on the Red Wings. I don't know who they would trade to get. I might consider dealing Manta in a first and somebody else, but
Larkin's unexpendable. You wouldn't trade Larkin. That's maybe the one or two, like, few guys on the wings that you wouldn't trade.
Yeah, I mean, Larkin, Seider, and Raymond.
Zadina too, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, like Manta and Bertuzzi, I'd be okay with dealing with those guys. And then somebody else brought it up. I can't remember where I saw it first, but somebody brought up like Eichel for Skinner, because obviously Jeff Skinner's contract is fucking dog shit at $9 million.
Terrible.
He's owed $9 million, I think, for the next 6 years.
Yeah, at least. I think it's 5 years now. Yeah. So
I don't know if you just like give up a second or a first for Eichel and the Skinner contract, take $19 million. Like, there's only a few teams that could do that, but
yeah. But again, there's ways around it, and nothing against Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner's when he's on, he's very good.
He hasn't scored this year, and part of that isn't. People have been saying it's not because he's shit. It's just he's had bad puck luck. Like he just hasn't been able, for whatever reason, to be able to score. And unfortunately, when you're making $9 million, you can't have bad puck luck.
You have to score at least 20 to make it like you should score 30 a year, but at least 20 to make it reasonable.
So if you're the Sabres, do you just start your rebuild now? Do you just go back into try it again?
Like I said before, I don't think it's a rebuild. I think it's just a reboot. There's just something missing on that team. I don't know whether it's a goalie. Their defense is okay. Like Dahlin's obviously Dahlin.
If you actually look at the Sabres roster, it's actually not a horrible roster.
No, on paper it's like reasonable. We were talking about them like possibly making the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
In our preview pod, we're obviously like kicking ourselves for that one, but.
Well, it's just like you have Victor Olofsson, who's actually he's a top 6 player, a middle 6 at least, anyways.
5 goals last year.
Yeah, I mean, Dahlini's good. Yogi Haru is good. Ristolainen's good. Like there's a fucking. I like Stalin Hall. I don't know. I don't know what you do if you're the Sabres. That's a tough situation.